episode 90 of Strange Brow Radio. I'm your host, and today we have a special breaking episode. Episode 90 is dedicated to author, researcher, and victim of internet hoaxers Thom Powell, who was recently punked by some tweens who took Thom for a ride. And so we're going to get Thom's side of the thing, and he'll explain all of the details. So more regarding Thom's experience with his trolls, I guess we can call them trolls, liquored up trolls. So more with Thom in just a second here. We'll be right back. All right, today we have an impromptu show from, as I said, author, researcher, friend, and victim of internet troll hoaxers, Thom Powell. Thom has been a good friend of mine, since about 2008, 2009 time frame, so we're over 10 years at this point, and he was involved with a lot of track finds, and he's helped a lot of people approach the stranger side of Sasquatch through his 3 books, Shady Neighbors, The Locals, and The Edges of Science. And for Thom, sitting down with young men who want to learn more about Bigfoot as a prior teacher, which he was, and these guys seem like they had middle school grade level mental attitudes, and maybe they appear to have had their first drink as well, only recently, because not one of them seems all too sober if you follow their channels. And as it pertains to the YouTube channel that these guys promote, I'm not going to name that. You don't have to email me for what it is. If you find out where Thom Powell is on the internet via these guys' hoax, then good for you. But Thom's attitude during this hoax, as I've seen it portrayed in this video, is actually very humorous, and Thom is the only one that lands jokes. The other hoax jokes, including the Sasquatch costume, which we'll get into, that they used to try to hoax Thom, was just really sad. And so, like I said in one of the emails I wrote out on Instagram, is that I think well over half of the residuals for this should go to Thom. So hopefully good things transpire after this for Thom, and I think they will. As you'll be able to tell in this interview, he has a really self-deprecating, dry sense of humor, and walked away from this quite entertained, which I think is going to be a little odd for some of the people on here. A lot of people are really upset about this, and they don't find it funny at all, because the subject matter, is generally not taken serious by anybody. And, this is not helpful. I mean, there's no way to deny that. Having, several million people watch, have a hoax played on you is not exactly helpful for the subject matter being taken serious. But, Thom aligns himself a little bit with satire, as well as, really good data. And that's what The Locals, this first book, is filled with, is casework working with people that have had experiences. So let's not belabor the topic here. From Thom Powell's mouth to your ears regarding the latest hoax sweeping the Bigfoot world is Thom Powell. All right, on the phone with me now is author, researcher Thom Powell. Hey, Thom.
Howdy.
Hey, man.
According to these pranksters, I'm also a Bigfoot expert, although I've never called myself that. But their whole thing was taking down a Bigfoot expert.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just get into it, because your name's out on the internet. I'm not going to say the name of the pranksters. It's not in my interest to say the name of who's doing what to who here, just to garner downloads and viewership. But it's safe to say that you got punked or pranked or hoaxed by
punked. I think the term is punked. Yes.
punked. Yeah. Yeah, Ashton Kutcher wants his show back, and these guys, they got quite a few viewers, and as far as the story unfolding from their perspective, I only know a little bit about what happened here, but in short, you were approached by some guys that seemed genuine enough about their interest in you as an author in Portland, and you're looking to Sasquatch. So take it from there.
They went to Moneymaker first.
Okay.
And for some reason, Matt handed them off to Cliff. And then Cliff said, my brother's here. I don't have time to deal with them. They made it sound like, oh, just a couple guys want to come out and learn about Bigfoot while we're in town. So they basically made up a series of lies and made it believe like they were just coming out to learn some stuff about Bigfoot.
Okay, so
and they all come piling out of the Sprinter van with eight people come piling out of the Sprinter van, no mask anywhere in sight, and cameras are like going right away. 2 guys taping, and then 6 guys. And then like, what the heck is going on? Oh, we just want to record everything. So they were certainly not straightforward, but that's not the game. Obviously, it's to totally mislead you. So that's what they said about trying to do.
Okay, so were you apprehensive right off the bat, or how did they work their game?
Well, they just started asking me questions, introduced myself, shook hands, just breaking every COVID rule there was. Really close, really chummy, and just full of questions about Bigfoot, but, they never really stood around to listen to any answers. So they were obviously just trying to, use sort of a machine gun approach to overwhelm me and put me a little bit off guard, I suppose.
Okay.
So we talked about, evidence, and they looked at track casts for a while, and then they said, we want to go to the woods. And I said, well, I'm not taking all you guys anywhere, but we can go look back and look at the woods here on my property. So we marched them all back there. And one guy was, they introduced him as being deaf, and he's from Somalia or somewhere, all BS. And so, he was playing sort of the handicapped person, but they also reassured me that he had many powers or capabilities. And then he starts making these gestures about jerking off, and the guy said, no, you can't do that here. And then he looks at me and goes, sorry, it's how we relieve stress. So right away they were floating these preposterous things to sort of set the stage to where you just didn't know what to expect next.
Okay, so really unconventional, and at any point here a little red flags going up?
Well, all over the place, but I was just trying to take them for who they said they were. So one guy was handicapped, and he seemed really off. But they offered me all these reasons why he was so strange, that he was from another country and born deaf and all this stuff, and he was doing this sign language thing, and he would pretend to communicate with them, and then they would interpret for me, and meanwhile guys are coming and going, and then they said something about a producer, and then another car pulls up, and this guy gets out with a white shirt and tie on, introduces me, and he's a producer guy, okay. And meanwhile, one of these guys is shotgunning one of these White Claw alcoholic beverages, and another guy's offering me chewing tobacco, and so they're just doing lots of things to sort of keep things going all chaotic.
Okay, so the guy steps out with the white shirt on and the tie, and he's the
Mm-hmm.
producer.
And they introduce him as a producer. Oh,
okay.
So this is a TV show. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, we maybe we'll just see what we get. And they didn't really elaborate about where it was or anything. No waiver, no nothing. But at that point, I just kind of decided, well, the original idea was they wanted me to drive him to some forest, and I finally just decided this is too crazy. All we're going to do is walk around the property and look at track casts and stuff like that. And I even said to him at one point, no, I don't know what you're expecting, but I'm not going to show you Bigfoot or Bigfoot evidence in the field. If you came to my place and I showed you what I was claiming to be real evidence, I wouldn't believe me if I were you. You got to be skeptical in this game. What I wasn't used to is people. I was always used to, as a researcher kind of guy, people doubting my claims, but the whole idea that they were the ones doing the hoaxing was a little bit different. So I didn't really embrace that possibility right away.
Now, when you get a phone call, it's your neighbor calling next door, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And did they suspect something was going on? Because that was kind of
he just said, well, what are these guys doing on your property? And I said,
Right.
It's okay, Frank, they're with me. And he said, well, they were acting a little bit strangely. And I said, yeah, you got that right. But I said, it's all right, Frank, they're with me. And so that was that.
Yeah.
Did they use that on their on the show they made out of it?
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Well, because the show came out. Today's Tuesday. Came out yesterday evening. And, pretty large viewership, and I knew that they spun it their direction for humor, but, the jokes that they were going for, they fell flat. I mean, they were geared for 21 and
lots
younger.
Of sexual stuff. It was, they were obviously playing the sex card pretty heavy. They talked about how Bigfoots have sex, and they told about this one guy in the group who had been attacked by a Bigfoot, and then he gets all teary and emotional, and then they start getting into this argument. And, obviously this is all theatrics being done, I presume, for my benefit. But then they tear his shirt off and show these claw marks that looked like something that a makeup person had done, but meanwhile the guy's crying at this point, and they're getting into a fight amongst themselves, and so they were just trying to make things as awkward as possible, I assume.
Yeah, and it came off awkward, especially towards the end, because you busted these guys, and some of that footage is now leaked out on the internet, so they've gone ahead and posted some of that footage that you rolled on them. So there's a little bit of egg on their face. But people are pissed off about this because they all love you and they don't like anybody, flicking you shit. And these guys don't know you at all. But from what I can tell, even their audience is a little busted up for the fact that you came off as kind of the genuine article, and these guys came off as just kind of, punk entitled teens. And,
Yeah, in retrospect with some of that, I'm certainly not all butthurt about it. Getting intellectually beat up, it just comes with the territory of being a Bigfoot researcher. To me, I guess it's kind of interesting because it doesn't seem like a huge challenge to take down a Bigfoot researcher. We're always assumed to be completely gullible, that Bigfoot is fake and the researchers are being misled. So if that's true, then misleading a Bigfoot researcher doesn't seem like a very big challenge. I mean,
Right.
I'm told that when you look up gullible, my picture is in the dictionary.
Right.
So,
I mean, see, that's it. You're just
to,
making my point right now, the fact that you're so self-deprecating, and it comes across in this video. So people that wander into it, however they do, Tom's dry sense of humor and sarcasm and wit is plainly displayed in here. And I think this is going to actually be a book sales benefit for you. I don't know when you start
well,
seeing
I
that
can't
spike.
imagine they showed any shots of my book or anything. No, it was all about them.
Yeah.
But I don't really, book sales, yeah, big deal. It doesn't make me that much money anyway. But what's interesting is how they sort of float this logical fallacy, and that is if you hoax a situation that proves that Bigfoot is fake. It's kind of like a situation that happened several years ago, when I was being an active BFRO researcher and I was investigating reports, and my wife at the time thought that, of course, I was stark raving crazy, and she actually was kind of dismissive, if not ridiculing it. She was sitting around with her brother one night, presumably laughing about my new hobby, and so they decided to manufacture a report. She had done some geology work down in Southern Oregon, so she knew some remote places. And so between the two of them, they put together a fake sighting. It's the same thing. They thought that by faking a sighting, that proved that all sightings were fake. There's a logical fallacy. It's called a non sequitur. It does not logically follow that all sightings are fake because it's possible to fake a sighting. I think that's kind of what these guys were about too. It's their way of taking down the subject a little bit by showing that it can be completely faked, and that at least for a period of time, people fall for the fakery.
Well, yeah, and they went for some some stereotypes that were just ridiculous as far as the levels they went to that weren't true at all, and it was just a really weak attempt at humor, and it fell flat on their end. And I think that's going to
did they use the part where he was standing on the roof chanting? It was really funny. I mean, that's when I thought, these guys are freaking crazy. Now, the idea that they were all actors really had not occurred to me until much later in the whole thing. But, it's, in a way, it's flattering that a crew of 10 guys, 8 actors and 2 cameramen come out there and perform with the sole intention of spoofing on me. It's kind of like, wow, guys, I didn't know I was so important.
Yeah, they did. They went for it, and there's a lot of work that goes into getting a weekly program out, and I think that's the way they market themselves, that they prank once a week, and they're on a road trip across the country. And you were third in line, and they must have just looked up Portland Bigfoot expert or something like that. Or did maybe Cliff recommend?
No, they started with Matt, but then they, like I said, they were looking for Cliff first because he is a lot more visible as a TV guy and everything that he is or was. And so then, like I say, Cliff asked me to take it for him. And I said, what's in it for me, Cliff? This doesn't sound like what I want to be. I'm remodeling my kitchen right now. And he said, $300. And, oh God, all right. And so then, within an hour of Cliff, hanging up, they were on the phone to me saying, can we come? And so they were in the area, and I said, all right, well, what part of town are you in? We don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Are you in a hotel or an house? Oh, we're in a house. Well, what street is it on? Oh, we don't know. You know, they were real evasive about everything. So, you know, the lying just got layer after layer after layer. You know, I guess I'm a guy who wants to believe people are who they say they are. I'm willing to take people at face value. And so it was sort of, it never occurred to me that I was about to be punked, but, you know, it wasn't painful or anything. It was really quite fun. I mean, it was interesting to start from start to finish, except that I was so surprised that they weren't doing any COVID anything, no precautions, no social distancing, and I wasn't worried about myself. It's them who I think maybe ought to go get tested. After all, my girlfriend's a doctor who does the COVID unit. I've been quarantined twice since February. I'm sure that I've been exposed.
Right.
And I think these guys are now too.
Yeah, that's where the entitled part really came into, you know, they're right in your face. It was
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was ambush journalism at its best, if you can call it journalism at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
real go ahead.
I don't know. It's just kind of it floored me that such talented actors, and they really were good. They would just get into these fights with each other, and then the deaf guy was just hilarious. They were so talented, but it's like, really? And all this is about me? I'm nobody, you know. I just wonder what their next show is going to be, doing magic tricks at a blind school or something, you know.
I think they go for the cheap shot. So whatever the cheapest shot is that they can find.
Right.
And,
so I would recommend they do magic tricks for blind people next. That would be about the same as proving that you can fool a Bigfoot researcher.
Well, the bar of entertainment's pretty low because they're doing, you know, as far as finance is concerned, they're doing okay in that department because they're on a private jet headed to the Ozarks, and you don't just throw $50 bills at anybody. So, you know, they've got their paycheck, and as I was saying, you know, half of it I think should go to you as far as downloads, and it's going to translate into several of those in the next week and longer. But in regards to looking at the whole dynamic of hoaxing in general, I mean, you're not the only person that's been had. We have people that have been taken to the woodshed, you know, hook, line, and sinker, and it happens, you know, every couple years. Is that fair to say?
Well, usually the Bigfoot researcher is the faker. You know, the person who's claiming that Bigfoot is out there. So, like I say, it was kind of a new twist that this time it was the interviewer who was faking. And it was very creative, and I was really astounded when the costumed Bigfoot showed up. And then I thought about it later and go, wow, that's pretty nervy. They snuck a Bigfoot costume onto the property and you know, got the guy all suited up. And at one point, one of the guys did ask me if I would shoot a Bigfoot. You know, obviously they were trying to find out whether their guy was in any kind of jeopardy. And I said, no, but there's lots of people who will. And I know I can't stop them. But you know, do I carry a gun in the woods? Hell no. So that was probably a little bit of reassurance for them.
Right, that you were
at that
packing.
point they go, all right, we're good. Get the costume guy. And they did a good job the first two little times that the thing came out. I mean, they did all this incantation, and they wanted to make it seem like they were conjuring, you know, a creature from another dimension or whatever. And when it first appeared, a very fleeting thing right behind the bushes, very effective. Because, you know, all I saw was the head and a little bit of the shoulders. And then it ducked down, and I said, whoa, you know, did you see that? And they're like, no, we didn't see anything. Where? It's right over there. And then the second time it allowed itself to be seen. Then it was also very fleeting. And then finally, and then they said, run, we got to run. Then they pretended to be communicating. And then, of course, then it went all sexual. The Ethiopian actor disappears, and then he starts making moaning, like, orgasm noises. And then he comes back holding his behind like he got it in the butt,
Right.
And,
yeah, they definitely aired that part. They were very proud of the levels they sunk to. And you had some incredible one-liners, which I think are going to be memes for a long time. And they were classic Thom Powell timing. And there were some humorous parts because of the fact that you were rolling with what you got. And there wasn't much you could do until the last little bit there where, I mean, they could have spent at least a couple bucks.
Definitely. Yeah, they had me, my adrenaline was flowing and I was just waiting and watching to see where it surfaced next. And then they said, well, it wants to have sex with you. And I think I said something to the effect of, you guys aren't paying me near enough money for that.
Right. I think you said, I'll go say hi. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure they cut out anything that, wasn't consistent with their narrative, whatever it was. But there were, several times, well, they want you to have sex with it. And then I said, well, ask your buddy here to find out, is it even, what is it, male or female? And then they came back with, then he did some sign language, and I said, it's both.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you said, why am I not surprised?
Yeah.
Right. Which was classic. Why am I not surprised? It's both.
And I kept at it. And so then I finally decided, all right, well, if we're going to go find the thing again, and I said, no on the sex, but let's go find it. And so that's when I realized, shoot, I got my phone in my pocket. So I pulled out my phone and started taping. And then we double back on the trail. And here comes the Sasquatch right down the same trail. And I think we surprised the actor that, he didn't expect us to come walking right at him. And then he froze. And then he saw that I was filming with my phone. I was holding my phone right in my chest and pointing it right at him. And then he just stopped and kind of put his hands down and walked right past me and walked straight across the field. And boy, did I get a good look at the costume finally for the first time. And then, of course, the gig was up. You could see that it was just as crappy a costume. Right. No moving fingers, no facial features.
No, it looked like something right out of Chuck E. Cheese or something. It was just hand-me-down.
Or certainly a costume. Yeah. So it was very effective only when you got a glimpse. But as soon as I saw head to toe, end of the game. But I was still like, why would somebody go to so much trouble for me? It just took a long time to register that I was worthy of this elaborate scheme, because then it occurred to me that all 10 of these guys were there to fool me. Wow.
Well, okay, so I mean, this goes down a different road here, and I don't know if you have time for this. I know you got to get going, but as far as where we are with the dynamic of the supernatural, now that we are at the precipice of disclosure here, we have the Pentagon taking the humor out of the UFO world. And so now you really can't pull that off. It's not funny anymore. People don't play the X-Files music when they talk about UFOs anymore. What do you think it's going to take for them to get to this level with this subject?
Well, I don't know. I guess all that it takes is to find somebody who doesn't know what their MO is and what they're about, and then they can fool another person and consider their work successful. But yeah, I think at some point, well, actually, it's hasn't been an original idea since Sacha Baron Cohen did Ali G. And I assume these guys are sort of students of Sacha Baron Cohen, with the whole punking thing. And they did a great job. There's no doubt about it. But what it gets them, I don't know. What their point is, I'm not really sure. Just that we're that clever. And I don't know. I guess it's just a gig for them. And they're not too worried about any implications or anything like that. I will say, when it was all over, they all just piled in the van and shut all the doors and windows and locked them, and started the van. And
Right.
then I walked up to the van and I knocked on the window and I said, look, I'm not pissed. I just want to meet the actor in the costume. And they wouldn't open the window. I thought that after it was all over, you stood around and kind of laughed about it and shared a beer and go, God dang, you guys had me. That was so funny. But I think they were afraid that I was going to want to choke them or something. But I thought their exit was exceedingly cowardly.
Right.
I would have.
They may even make mention of it, at the very end, that they thought you were going to kill them. I mean, they really were freaked out that you were super pissed, and you have those piercing eyes.
I don't remember being pissed. I was just surprised, but I don't think I was pissed. Like I said, I wanted to talk to him a little bit, and I wasn't pissed. But I think that they were expecting that reaction. Maybe they get that reaction from people. But then I said, wasn't there something about some money, And they said, through the window, they said, the producer will be back with your money. And then they threw the van into gear, and I got out of the way so I wouldn't get my foot run over. And then they're off in a cloud of dust. 10 minutes later, who drives up but the guy with the white shirt and the necktie? And he gets out and hands me $400 and kind of does a fist bump as in like thanks, and I'm kind of sorry a little bit. And I said, oh, look, I got a sense of humor. It's I can't believe you went to all that trouble. Who am I? And I said, by the way, what are you going to do with this thing? Probably nothing. We didn't get what we wanted. And well, if you wanted me to have sex with Bigfoot, you certainly didn't get that.
Right.
But again, to the end, they're laying down lies. So, I mean, it's funny in a way, but it's just, well, sure, if you get 10 people together and tell lie after lie after lie, I think you could fool almost anybody.
Well, they're not funny. You're funny. And I've said it long, and I'll say it again, that anybody who listens to this show, Thom Powell going unrecognized as far as being some kind of source, be it televised or otherwise, you deserve the accolations to be out front, in my opinion, more so than other people have. And I hope that comes from this in some way, because I'm looking at the views on the episode here. And do you want to know how many people have viewed this?
Go ahead and tell me.
Okay.
I don't really care.
Right.
But
okay,
anyway,
well, a lot. I mean, it's 2.5 million views. And I don't know.
2.5 million people I'll never meet. But what's interesting about it is it really gave me a chance to explore my own potential reaction to having a genuine encounter. It's a lot clearer to me what goes down and why witnesses behave a little bit, unexpectedly, potentially irrationally. And if I ever have an encounter, a real one, I will be a lot more casual about it, because I went through so many different emotions, and it was really interesting to see how I would react, because, you know, the first couple times I saw it, I thought it was the real deal. I did turn around and say, wait a minute, there's a couple of you guys missing. I probably didn't use that on the camera.
No, they did. Yeah,
guys.
no, they did. They kept that part where you count the people. And I mean, what people need to know is that this was on your property where you've had legitimate stuff. I mean, you have the extended experiencer conundrum. You have
Sure.
you know, the idea of castle and moat. It keeps you right outside of arm's length, but yet it still messes with you and follows you around. And you know, so having a daytime sighting is pretty rare, but you never know what you're going to get.
Right. And there were a lot of things that didn't make sense, because it clearly came from the direction of the field, whereas I would have expected it would have come from out of the deeper woods, which was behind us. So that was the first thing that kind of messed me up. But they were so impassioned in their reaction, and they were doing so many things all at once that it was really hard to sort of focus on anything except the chaos that was unfolding. And obviously that was part of their game as well, is to throw me off guard so that I would say or do compromising things that would make for compelling TV. But if I ever see one again, I mean, I'll be like the kid who tugs on Santa Claus's beard, you know. Everybody else will be running, and I'll go walk up to the thing and go, all right, who is it this time?
Yeah. Now, if you're
and if the Bigfoot didn't, if it didn't want to put it in my butt before, it sure will after I yank on its beard.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah, they went to some X-rated territory, and it. Anyway,
oh yeah, they totally did.
Yeah, you handled it the best way you could. Now, in the future, if anybody approaches you with an offer to sit down with you, especially at your home, are you going to treat it differently, or what's your new approach?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I didn't do, because I thought this whole thing was vetted by Cliff. So Cliff said, oh, I got these people who want to get together. So I somehow felt that Cliff had already done, you know, my work for me as far as finding out who these people were, what was their plan, yada, yada.
Right.
Now, Cliff said they can't use your stuff without signing a waiver. Did you sign a waiver? And I go, no, I didn't sign any waiver. And so he said, well, you could sue them. And I'm like, oh, I guess. But did Newt Gingrich sue Ali G when he got set up? Or do you remember the one with Boutros Ghali being interviewed by Ali G? You know, I just wonder whether these other things are things that you have to do waivers for. I wonder. I'd be curious about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works as far as defamation and public domain, because you're right. When, you know, Ali G sets people up, he goes deep, and he'll take them into crazy territory, and there must be a team of lawyers that know just what to do in order to skirt law, and they probably have to look up state law. And
well, and again, the thing that I always respected about Ali G was that he got very political about it. You know, just duping a Bigfoot researcher by comparison doesn't seem like a very worthy challenge for 8 or 10 such talented actors.
Right. Well, talent is up for debate. Anyway, I just wanted to have that quick conversation with you, Thom, and I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, you know, I would say, sure, you find out who they are, what they are. You know, let me see a card. What's the plan here, et cetera, et cetera. And from the get-go, they were so fast-paced and so overwhelming in their weird stories and enthusiasm that I really didn't have the time to sort of slow it down and reason it out, and I should have.
Right. Well, people are...
you know, like...
Go ahead.
In retrospect, I'm certainly not bitter. It was immensely entertaining, and it was very interesting to reflect on my own reaction when I saw the first glimpse of the creature, and it looked pretty authentic.
Well, and I wouldn't have known anything about this had my son not got a hold of me and asked me if I got hoaxed. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. So the demo is 18 to 21. I figure that's their demo because they seem
right.
Like they just had their
and
first
I got
drink.
a buddy who's right. Some kids that from the school texted me and said, oh, we saw you. Oh, that's so cool. You're a star. You're famous. I texted him back, famous or infamous? Do you know the difference?
Right. All right, man. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go. Can you hold off the line here real quick? And thanks for talking to me.
Hey, it was a pleasure. And, share the video I sent you. It's pretty cute, and give everybody a chance to see the costume that they bought for their whole ruse. So share it around.
All right, Thom Powell, The Local Edges of Science. Check out both these books, and you're working on something new, and we'll hopefully get you back on the podcast and talk about that.
No, and don't forget Shady Neighbors, the novel. That's actually my favorite one, and it's about people who have a sighting on their property. So it actually sort of mirrors the scam that just got perped on me.
All right. Again, Thom Powell, author of Shady Neighbors, The Locals, and Edges of Science, and he's working on a new one, which I don't know when that's due out. Thom has his own timeline, and he just had a fantastic piece of property in Portland, Oregon that is incredibly active, and that's what's so odd about the whole hoax thing is that, it's a weird situation to be in because if you're looking into this from the outside in, it's just such a base thing to make fun of. But once you understand that, I'm going to try to quit cussing as much as I have been on air, and something like this makes me want to cuss once in a while. But once you understand this is very real, which it is, it's very difficult to sit back and not want to reach out these guys through the internet and wring their little necks. But their comet is burning awful bright at this point, and I think that they will make some really unwise decisions very shortly and burn out super quick, or something will happen. Hence, the whole legal team that's surrounding them, and the lack of any kind of COVID protection, which Thom brought up quite a bit, may land them not only some legal trouble but some health trouble. And I see a lot of alcohol abuse on this channel here, to the point where someone's going to end up in a bad situation in the ER, and hopefully nobody else is involved with that, because it looks like they're living life without any boundaries, and this is part of how they're choosing to do it. So anyway, Thom Powell, thanks again to Thom for coming on the air. Now, if you want to chime in about this episode, you can reach out to Thom Powell on the internet somehow, but he generally doesn't check out social media. So get to me if you like, and air your dirty laundry or your concerns about this whole thing. And again, I'm not mentioning the name of the channel just to limit the fallout here. So strangebrowradio@gmail.com. It'll be posted also on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, if you want to be a guest yourself and you haven't been hoaxed, or you have been, heck, we can talk about maybe how you've been hoaxed yourself. Might be interesting to talk about that in general. At strangebrowradio@gmail.com. You can be anonymous as you want. Thank you again to all you who have shown support here, financial support, being a patron member at patreon.com/strangebrowradio. And man, I've got a brand new Tascam recorder on the way here, and I don't know if I have permission to say who got it for me, but I'll re-ask again. The recorder's not here yet, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun using this baby out in the field. It always is. And I can't express enough how addicting listening to audio is. And if you ever want a crash course into doing your own recording, you can get a hold of me, and I will set you up with a little PowerPoint on that and have some fun of your own. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Feral by Aaron, as always. That's Feral by Aaron Alchemy Sound Tools at Etsy, ERYN, all one word, Feral by Aaron. The good folks out at Manresa Castle, at the Rook Room, the bar side of the castle, and the whole castle in general. Check it out in Port Townsend, Washington. Haunted history. You've seen it on Ghost Adventures. Go see it for yourself. In Port Townsend, Washington, Manresa Castle. And to you guys, again, thank you for listening, as always. And yeah, a little impromptu episode 90. Good. Maybe we'll do it again. As always, take care. I'll see you in a week or so. And if not, I will see you in the tree.
Du machst ihn kaputt. So, Küche, so,